Here. All right, guys. Hold on. I'm not trying to. You know what? I'm gonna just. Actually, let me move the microphone somewhere else because I don't want it getting bumping into the seat belt and falling on the floor. All right. So it should be fine. I might probably have to fix it though. Still. All right. So let me get out of here and find somewhere safe so we could talk about this stuff. Hey everyone, how you guys doing? I know it's Saturday. Everybody is probably, enjoying the weekends, and I'm just trying to get here quick and discuss this issue with you guys. Actually, today was my day off too. I had a couple of errands to run. I went. I did a lot of shopping today, man. So you guys know I'm planning a trip to Kinshasa real soon. So I need a couple of things. So I had to go out and get some things. So now I'm a little free, but I figured that I've been thinking about doing this live for the past couple of days, but since I've been very very hectic with work, so I wasn't able to do that. So the time that I have now until it's time to go to a birthday party that I was invited to, and I figure you guys and I can have this conversation and we'll see, how this goes. But allow me time to get to the park where I always have my me time, and we could talk about this stuff. But in the meantime, when you join the chat, please make sure to hit the like button and let me know where you're watching from. Then I will really really appreciate it. So guys, these are very very important issues that I'm about to talk about. So just stay tuned, and together we're gonna find out what it's all about. All right. So support me by hitting that like button. I'm not asking nobody for money or anything. I'm not asking nobody for GoFundMe or nothing like that. All I'm asking you guys to do, and it's free, it doesn't cost you any money. Just press the like button to fight the YouTube algorithm. All right. Because if you're watching, well, you might as well hit the like button. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. So if you guys don't mind, we could hang out for a minute. I'm probably like a minute away from the park, and I'll park and we could talk about this issue. But in the meantime, man, just let me know where you're watching me from, and announce yourself in the comment section, and please make sure to hit that like button. Don't just make me repeat these 100 times. Just be generous. Hit the like button. That's all you can do to support me. You know, a lot of you guys don't like when somebody says that they get things done on their own. You know, like I don't ask people for no money. You know what I mean? I make my own. I'm asking you to just hit the like button. That's all I'm asking. I have been saying this for the last couple of minutes, and I'm still seeing zero like. But there's more than one person in the chat that's actively watching. But come on, come on. Are we gonna continue having this conversation while me sitting here begging you to hit the like button? Or the first thing you do as soon as you join the chat is to hit the like button to show your support and let me know where you're watching from. That'll be much appreciated. All right, so I'm already here. So let me show you. Let me flip the screen as a speed bump so you guys see where I'm at. So I'm actually driving to the park, which is literally across the streets from here. So I'm almost at the park. So yeah, these are my last couple of days before I fly to Congo. I get to actually see what the neighborhood looks like before I leave, and when I come back, all these trees will probably be filled with leaves and stuff, because now we're just entering spring, and yeah, it's starting to get warm. It's starting to feel warm compared to what it was about a month or two ago. So now it's actually better. All right, so I am finally here, guys, at the park. So this is like a little park that's in the neighborhood I live in. Every once in a while, I come out here, and sometimes, some of the YouTube videos that you guys see, I film them out here. I'll come out here. I will get what I need to do, and then I'll go home. I'll handle it. All right, let me take this glasses off. All right. So yes, guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for being here. All right, can you guys see me well? All right, let me turn the car around. I feel like the lights from this angle, it's not the best. I usually get better lighting when I'm facing west. All right, so it's much better. So now I'm facing west, and alrighty. All right, welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys again for bearing with me and allowing me time to drive and get here to the park so you guys and I can talk. All right, so happy Saturday. I hope you guys having a good weekend so far. So please let me know in the comment section where you're watching from, and we're about to get this started. Okay, first of all, thanks for your engagement. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always coming back to watch my video. This really means a lot. And every single time I see you guys on the chat, it really makes me feel great. It makes me believe that this effort is not going to waste. It's really actually, telling people that there's hope in a lot of things that, I've been doing. And you guys being here, it's just nothing but support. So I really appreciate it. Like, I mean it. All right. It really means a lot to me. Okay, guys. So I don't want to waste any of your time anymore. It's like 3:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I got a party to be at around 6:30, maybe 7 o'clock. So I'll be, driving back to my house and, take a shower and get ready and go to the party. So like I mentioned earlier, I was running a few errands before because, I'm planning my trip back to Kinshasa. So, and I got a lot of things to buy and everything. So, well, guys, so today we're going to talk about what's happening around the world. This is more like a geopolitical examples that I'm going to use in the world events and try to connect the dots to see how this could benefit us as African living in the diaspora, especially me that always on YouTube, on my channel, talking to you about the possibilities of moving back to Africa to start your investments. So as long as you continue to come back to watch my videos, guys, this is what I will always be talking about. So you should not expect anything different than that. No matter the direction in which this channel will take in the future, but my primary goal is to motivate and inspire as many young African and Congolese as possible, because I believe that as Africans, we do not need to leave our home countries to come seek opportunities here in the West, because those opportunities that we're allegedly looking for here in the West are literally coming from Africa. If you live in the West, look around you. I'll bet you a lot of these factories that at one point we worked for, those materials that they're able to use to produce those particular products are more likely coming from elsewhere. And more specifically, they're coming from a lot of African countries. So if we are talking about technological advancements in today's world, so we can look, most of these natural resources are found in African countries. So I've used an example of like Tesla today's or all of these electric vehicles that a lot of people now are enjoying, and because we're witnessing the clean energy revolution happening in the 21st century, but these very raw materials that is needed to make batteries that actually run this vehicle are coming from Africa. The Democratic Republic of Congo alone holds 64 to 65% of the world reserve of cobalt. Cobalt is the great component needed to make these electric cars. So without it, these electrical cars are not going to be running. That's why you see Chinese tech companies are out there, or even Chinese mining companies are being built in Congo specifically. You know, as well as a lot of like American companies. You get Sony, Samsung, what else? Apple, Philips, and so forth. So they are all there. And no wonder, even when we talk about the war in eastern region of Congo, we're always uh, looking at, if you look at the big picture, you will see that these giant tech companies, they have always been there. No matter what they say on their news media about the atrocities that have been taking place in eastern region of Congo, and yet they're still continuing to do business under those same conditions. So if you are so concerned and worried about human abuses or even a child exploitation like that, wouldn't that be a good idea to impose sanctions or regulate things? Well, I understand like the US government cannot regulate anything in terms of Congo, but they have the power to influence politics over Congo to enact certain laws that make it more possible for them to continue to extract the resources the way they do. That's why they use like smaller countries like Uganda and Rwanda to attack Congo. So that way they have easy access to the natural resources. But this is not really the topic of today. So I wanted to open your eyes and your mind to that particular reference that I just made, so you get an idea of how the West function. Because the way the West function, in my opinion, at least from the analysis that I have been able to make over the course of over the past couple of years, is that they used this system since colonial time and have worked in their advantage. That's why he have made them powerful, which is to create diversion, to create confusion and division among a certain ethnic group of people. And when you start butting heads, that's when they come in and acts like they didn't know how it started. They act like the good guy. They want to bring solution, but they're taking advantage of the conflicts to expand their ideology. Because when they come here to tell you, you see that guy over there, it wants you dead, or you see that guy right over there is jealous of you because you have been able to accomplish this so far. So to prevent him or to stay on the top of him, we suggest you do this. And they're going to tell them the opposite or maybe the same. And while you guys continue to butt heads, they're just there to win and overpower, take over. But one thing that you're not realizing is that you're wasting time to divide rather than just unite. And the longer it takes you to unite, and the more difficult it will become to even to start the reconciliation process in the future. Before you know it, it's probably decades ago. It's probably too late. Guess what's happening right now? We all know, if you watch the news or if an history freak, in the Middle East, for instance, countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran, those countries they have been enemies for decades. And who benefit from that conflict is the West. So Saudi Arabia is one of the most untouchable country in the Middle East. You know why? Because they have the support of the Americans. They're under the United States umbrella. That's why they feel like they can do whatever the hell they want to do. And they have destroyed so many countries in the Middle East. And countries like Iran, they're like under US sanctions, and they're probably one of the most hated country in the Middle East because they provide arms to groups that fight against you know Israelis occupation of Palestine. But looking at all of these things, so America have built military bases in Saudi Arabia to protect them because America provides security to them. That's why they're untouchable, because countries like Iran, they're like the major power in terms of military strength in the Middle East. But when these colonialists wants to control a region, they want to make sure they create a powerful, like a military powered country that is able to take on any country in that region. And once you have reached notoriety of the military strength, and nobody can really mess with you in that region, they have used this system for decades and it have worked. So now America basically used Saudi Arabia in their advantage, and they got them into hating, or becoming like the number one enemy of countries like Iran. And they have made it possible for the United States to do anything they wanted to do in the Middle East because they had access to invade multiple countries through Saudi Arabia, because they have gigantic military bases built there. And Saudi Arabia allowed the United States to come in and do anything they want to do to just protect them. And in return, they get whatever they want in the Middle East. Look at what's happening in Yemen, everything that they have down there. You know what I mean? And because America is like the number one ally of Saudi Arabia, nobody can really criticize their government like that. If you dare criticize the government of Saudi Arabia, how dare you? They're just going to sit there and think you're crazy. Look at what happened with under President Biden, when this journalist from Saudi Arabia was executed in a Turkey embassy. What did they say? It was under Donald Trump, right? As soon as Joe Biden was elected, he promised to make Saudi Arabia a pariah, right? So what happened to that? When they started cutting oil production, Joe Biden rushed over there to convince the Prince of Saudi Arabia to produce more oil. But guess what happened? It turned it down. Now with the war that's happening in Russia, they bomb and they throw all the sanctions at Russia, thinking that it was going to be enough to stop the war, but it only made it worse. So on the top of that, they have weaponized the US dollar. They have frozen the Russian US currency that is in central banks. But this is robbery. And a lot of countries are now waking up to this kind of, hostile behavior from the West. Now, guess what they're doing? Now they're joining hands at a much rapid pace than ever before to create a new currency that's going to compete against the US dollar. Because when they weaponize the US dollar, nobody has trust in their currency. Think about it this way. You have the money, your country is grown, but then you get to a certain point, because you're doing something that America don't like, they just cut you from the rest of the world. And then your population they start suffering. But they're innocent. They have nothing to do with, government actions. So countries are starting to wake up. Now look at what's happening in the Middle East now. After the reconciliation of Saudi Arabia and Iran, and now Saudi Arabia, is expecting the Syrian president in Syria. This is huge. But America and the West, they want them divided. Guess what? That is the exact same thing that we're going through in Africa. Look at the division among African countries. I always give a shout out to West African countries because of the alliance, and they have such unity. They, with the ECOWAS, they always trying to like create a system that will, solidify their relationships. And this, by the way, is something that most African countries need. Why am I saying all of this? I'm saying all of this because I want you to understand that the longer we stay here in the West and the more comfortable we get here, the more difficult it will be for us to take back our economy, which is progressively being taken away from us, like local Africans that are here in the diaspora. I'm doing farming in Congo, right? I'm investing my money over there. I chose to start this process because I saw the direction the world is taking now is not good for any of us. Because the moment these countries succeed in creating a currency that will compete against the US dollar, the US dollar as the world reserve currency, time will end. And their, military their financial or monetary hegemony, it will come to an end. And the US dollar will remain as just a regular local currency, which will not have any type of impact in the world whatsoever, right? So think about it. Today we have the luxury, every time we take a trip to Africa or to Asia or any of this, outside of the West, we enjoy the dollar, right? We enjoy the pounds or, European currency because it have more value when you go outside of the West. And that's why it's making it possible for people like me to do the things that I'm doing in Africa because how strong the US dollar is. So now think about it this way. What if today all these countries succeed to dump the US dollar completely? I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight. It's going to take some time. But one thing we need to understand that it would not always be the way it is today. The situation might change depending on how things go in the future. But you have to understand that we have the responsibility to change the way things are done in Africa. And more specifically, what I mean is like us diasporans who live here in the West to move back home to do our investment. Because if we don't do it, Chinese are already doing it. Lebanese have already been in Africa for a long time. Indians have already are getting involved in Africa, as well as other foreigners. It's only ourselves who choose to stay away from Africa, which I find, by the way, absurd. Because how can you claim to be African and claim that you love Africa so much, but when it comes down to investing in Africa, you're the number one to discourage everybody. You're that one person that always want to bring negativity so that others can look at your country differently. Guys, this is not a good approach. One thing we should all keep in mind is that if you're painting a bad picture, a bad image about your country, I guarantee you nobody will take you seriously. Do you know how many people reach out to me through my YouTube channel that are not from Congo and who are now currently doing business in Congo or even starting like farming and stuff? You guys don't know that. Why? Because, oh, come on, man. I can't pick up. I'm in the middle of something. Yeah, I can't even answer. So I'm sorry about that. Somebody was calling my phone, but I had to hang up on them. So this is very, very crucial. So I need you guys to start thinking differently. If you're planning or thinking about doing business or starting your investment in Africa, this is the time, because we're living through moments that things are not always going to be the same in the West. Look at what's happening in France right now. Every single day the situation continuing to get worse. But do not be surprised if you see the same type of protests, start occurring in countries like, uh, in other European countries or other part of the West. Do not be surprised. Now look at what's happening right now. Now, United States, as well as the rest of the West, they see that everything they try to do to undermine Russia, has not succeeded. It's only continuing to make Russia more powerful. Now, Japan wasn't supposed to even purchase Russian oil. Now they're making purchases. They turn around, they flip United States off and be like, hey, you don't want us to buy their oil? I mean, they went along with it, but after a while, they see that how much it's hurting them. They're just not going to sit there and watch their people, suffer from this energy, price hike, a cap or whatever that's happening, just to please one country because they want to remain the number one powerful country in the world. Why can't they accept the idea of multipolar world? And that's the part that bothers me the most. They want to be able to control the world so much that it's getting annoying. Even the efforts that they are making, it's I don't know, it's getting old. Find other things that's more important for people. Make lives better here. Look at homelessness issues that's happening right now in America. I live 45 minutes away from the city of Philadelphia, and I'll tell you, you go to downtown Philly, you see how many homeless people are running through the streets and asking people for change and things like that. The number, it is staggering, and this number is continuing to grow. About a couple of months ago, a friend of mine that I used to work with, he lost his father. His father passed away. We went to his father's funeral, right? He lived in well, now he lives in Poundstown, Pennsylvania, but he's from New Jersey. He lived in Camden, New Jersey. So I went to New Jersey with my other friend, we rode together or whatever. We get to Camden, New Jersey, man, the things that I've seen there, oh man, I wish I had taken my camera with me. I had my phone, but since we were driving and trying to get to the funeral, I could have documented the things that I've seen there so far. It's bad. Really, really bad. I'm talking about people on the streets, homeless people. It is crazy. It's insane. But all of these issues are not being addressed because they don't care about you like that. Everything that they're doing around the world is meant to only benefit the elites. The elites are the number one beneficiary of all of this world destruction. So now they're driven by jealousy, seeing all these other countries coming together and fighting for a much better world that is free from hostility or humiliation, even wars. They don't like that. They've always made a lot of profits, destabilizing country, but it's not always going to be like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of people now are waking up to these hostilities. They do not want to see the West continuing to make decisions, because look at, for instance, what happened with Russia, right? They blew the North pipeline, the Russian pipelines in the ocean. What happened in the UN Council? They if they really wanted to find out who did it, wouldn't they um like allow an investigation to take place? Why did they block an independent investigation from occurring? Because they know it was going to establish who was those that were behind it. I mean, we all know it was Anglo-Saxon countries that have done it. I'm talking about specifically United States of America as like being the number one player in this explosion of the Russian pipeline that pump, gas and oil through Europe. They did it. That's why they didn't want investigation, an independent investigation. So, but then when another country does it, oh, they will go on media and change the narrative, create stories to just make that country look bad and go after them, destroy the country completely. But when it comes down to them, no, you can't do that. You can investigate. You can investigate us. Look at the level of hypocrisy and double standards that these people operate under. But like when we're moving from Africa to these countries and we see even the way our kids that are born here are treated in school and how, listen, I'm a cop, right? I'm a police officer, but I gotta say for what it is, right? The treatments that people of color are, undergo in this country is ridiculous. The number of people of color that are incarcerated is the highest, but then they constitute the minority of the U.S. population. Is that a coincidence? So when we see these trends, we're trying to connect the dots. We see all of these things happening. I mean, is it not enough to tell you that maybe this is a sign you should do something better for yourselves in your own country? Listen, we all are stuck here looking for those type of opportunities that we've always wanted, and yet a lot of us are not seeing this happening. A lot of us work at places that don't even offer a pension program. A lot of jobs that don't even have that. But somehow we're still stuck here. Why is that? You know why? Because many people now they are realizing that they moved to the West for the wrong reason. Therefore, people like us, we have woken up much earlier. We understand how the system works. That's why I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that I go back home and I will probably make even way more money than I've ever made here in America, because I'm not interested in staying in this country any longer. But all I'm doing, it's only paving the way so that when I move there, I don't have to come back. Believe me, every time I go to Congo to do my thing and having to come back here, oh, thanks for the super chat, brother. I really appreciate it, man. This means a lot. And this is the type of support that I've been talking about on the channel, man. I never asked for it, but every time somebody, leaves a chat, it's always appreciated. And that really, really means a lot, brother. Thank you so much. Like, you've been subscribed to this channel since the beginning, and you've always around, man. This really, really means a lot. And you and I have a lot of good conversations about a lot of things that's happening in Congo. And I really, really hope that one day we can meet and sit down and talk about all this stuff, man. It'll be amazing. And so guys, so you guys know, I know I mentioned there before I went live, but I'm leaving for Kinshasa in 2 weeks. There is a lot of things, man, we're going to talk about. There is a lot of things that you have to expect that's going to happen, whether on my channel, on my farm. There is just so many things. Like, I do not want to spoil anything yet, but I have so many things to discuss with you guys. But just stay tuned, because really, really soon I'll be leaving for Congo, and I got a lot of good stuff for you guys. I got a lot of things in store for you. So just keep those alerts turned on for videos like this. All right, guys. Thanks again, man. I appreciate you for sending that super chat. That really, really means a lot. All right, guys. So when we see these things, it should teach us something. It should remind us where we come from. It should remind us of our roots. I'm sure you guys watch other African YouTubers. You see all of these African Americans or even, other foreigners that are here in America. They're looking for other possibilities outside of the West. Why do you think they're choosing Africa? It's not random. The Caribbean is not too far from here. The Caribbean is literally a couple of hours flight here from America. Why a lot of, African Americans are not moving there? Because the weather is probably it's probably not the best, you know, and it's not that far from America, so they can go there, invade or do whatever because it's just in their backyard, all right? But in Africa, you on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. And if even we go back to like World War I and World War II, these wars have, if like, other than like, Hitler or, white supremacists or Nazis, it wasn't only about white supremacists. It was mostly about a lot of things. It had a lot of economic involvements to it. And I bet you Africa, no matter what happens around the world, Africa will always be maintained because they know every single time the resets take place, they need to go back to Africa to recreate and continue to evolve. That's why Africa will always remain untouched. The wars that's happening in certain regions in Africa, we all know it's financed by the West. We all know that. They don't have anybody to lie to. We all know that these things are being perpetrated by themselves. But then they're only using our own fellow brothers and sisters that are marginalized, that do not have economic opportunities in their villages or in their cities. And then when they are recruited through these rebel groups that are offering them like $100 or $200, these kids are desperate for money. They, watch their parents, barely making it. And when they go there, they take care of their family. And that's the pattern is just continuing to happen. And when that happens, it's even way more difficult for the government to rebuild the country, to provide, employment and better, income or even earnings to the local people, so that they're able to turn down these bribes that they receive to only take the arms against their own countries. I'll give you one example. As a police officer here in America, I mean, if you try to bribe me after I pull you over, it's just adding another charge on the top of what you're already being charged with. Because police officers get paid good money here in America. Like, there is nothing you can offer me that I don't already have. So, I mean, yourself, if I give you a ticket, you're not going to give me money right away. You're not going to pay me there. You have the tickets with you in your hands with instructions on how to make payment online, or go to the local magistrate where the alleged crime or offense occurred. You go to the magisterial district judge and make the payment through them. The money doesn't even have to go through me. And I do my job. I file the paperwork. I'm done for the day, and that's how things work. But what do we observe? What do we see happen in Africa? A lot of times, specifically in Kinshasa, somebody will get pulled over, and then they will pay the cop. The cop takes the money and let them go. That money will never make it to a local law enforcement office. You know why? Because cops don't get paid good money there. They wake up every morning, go to work with no idea what they're going to bring home to their family. But if they were getting paid just enough money to take care of their family, these bribes that occur on a regular basis, on a daily basis through the streets of Kinshasa, it will never happen. People will then start to obey the law. Listen, the law exists in Congo. It's just not enforced. It applies to certain class of individual. If you belong in a certain class, some of these laws may not apply to you. You may get locked up and 3 in the morning. Before, even if it's 3, 30, you're already out because your dad made a phone call and they just let you out without following the proper procedure to follow with all the paperwork and everything. That is sad. But guess what? Those are the realities that we see happen in Africa. Is there something that you and I can change? Probably not. Maybe if you run as a, I don't know, governor or whatever, you think you have the ability to change things, have at it. But we're not there to change any of that. We are there to make sure that we create jobs, like we bring businesses that's going to create jobs. So even with the like Kuluna happening, a lot of these kids that are involved into these gangs and robbing people through the streets because they don't have anything good going on for themselves. And it is the same thing here in America. A lot of the criminals and a lot of these kids that we always deal with on the street, most of them don't have jobs. They come from a family where mom and dad were drug addicts. Like, it's the whole, like, chain. It's always the same thing, same story. But if you can bring jobs in these areas where people have places to go to, they have, jobs to go to and bring money every week, they will have an activity to keep them busy, and then they will divert away from this immorality. That's the exact same thing by us at diasporans going back home to invest. It's only going to bring opportunities to these marginalized kids in these local neighborhoods. Kids that have never seen something built in their neighborhood that provides employment to the local younger growing generation. But you and I here in the West, we have the ability to do that. But sadly, some of us choose not to. Some of us prefer to throw the money elsewhere. Some of us prefer to go to Jordan, Nike's stores, buy 3 or 4, even $500 pair of sneakers that you probably never gonna be able to resell for $100. You just want to walk around with it so that people can see that you spend money on it. But then at the end of the month, you're not even able to afford your own rent. Actually, this is funny because I got a friend who used to do that. I'm not going to mention their name for their own privacy, but when I first came to the United States of America, right? They introduced me to all, young Congolese around my generation, and I made friends or whatnot. And one of them lived with my other 2 friends that had just got there from Congo. They were renting a 2-bedroom apartment together, right? And remind you, the guy that I'm talking about, he was brought here in America by their parents. They had been living here, I'd say 15 years prior to my arrival at that time in the United States. And my other 2 friends that were renting that 2-bedroom apartment, they had been in the country for a year before I got here. They were living in their own apartments and just had jobs and just paying for it. But this kid that had been living there for 15 years prior didn't even have a place to stay. It was staying with them. Now check this out. As a young dude, right, you all, you have to chip in, paying the rent and everything. At the end of the month, you got to bring your share. Every month, it was always able to give his share. It was always an excuse after the other. If he came up with money, it was never enough to cover his share of the rent, and somebody else had to cover for him. He used to spend his all paycheck on pair of Jordans, pair of Nikes, like all types of shoes that you could possibly think of. And these dudes, if LeBron James had wore in like a new pair of sneakers that cost like $500, this dude will work overtime to make sure he gets those new pair of sneakers. And he used to brag about how many pair of Jordans and Nikes that he had on his closet, so much that everybody got sick of it. It's not like you walk around, maybe all these high school girls, they're more interested in those type of thing. But like a grown-ass woman, who like more mature, they don't care about any of that. Like someone like me, I don't care about no pair of sneakers. I mean, I like to look good. Don't get me wrong. I like to look good, but I don't need to spend over $1,000 to just for my attire, for my clothing. That's insane. You know what I can do with $1,000 on my farm? I could I could buy a lot of like bags of cement to make bricks to build something within my farm. That's what I'm gonna do with $1,000. I'm not spending $1,000 on no freaking clothes. What am I, stupid or what? I would just never do it. You know what I mean? But believe it or not, there are Congolese here in the diaspora who doing some dumb stuff like that. They go to like nightclubs, partying and buying $250 bottle of champagne that they can't even finish, and just making all this poor decision. You wake up the next morning with hangover, you get sick, and you miss a day at work, and then another day when you want to go back to work, now you got to work more overtime even. And then when you do that, instead of then learning from the mistake you just made, you just go back to doing the exact same thing. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like, what's up with this new generation? What's up with everybody? What's up with people? Yeah. Like, I'll tell you what, every time we get together at a party or, at a social event with other Africans or other Congolese in my area, we talk about a lot of stuff in Congo, right? But like those that don't have interest or have shown interest in investing in Africa or have a negative way of seeing things when it comes down to Africa, I don't talk to them. I mean, we talk, but I don't bring up I don't bring up conversations about Congo or investing in Africa, because no matter what I say to them, it goes in one ear and out the other. They will never take that into consideration. And I know people like that. I'm never going to mess with you. But the irony is that a lot of times when we get together, we talk about these issues, they're always complaining about a lot of things that's happening here. And deep down, I'm like, those are the very same reason that a lot of African Americans now are leaving United States for Africa or other, countries out there. Like they don't want to stay in America anymore because of the very same reason you were just mentioned. But people are so stubborn to realize, to see it. It's happening, but they just choose not to believe it. It's almost like the West, they lie so much about what they have done around the world. Like they have caused so many destructions. They have killed, murdered, raped, blacks and Indians here in Americas and everything. But somehow they still manage to victimize themselves. It's like I'm bullying you, but then I'm the victim. I'm the bully and the victim at the same time. That's exactly how the West operates. That's exactly how they work. And I feel like even people living here, or even some Africans that are here, they have adopted that mentality. They only have sympathy for themselves, but they don't express the same sympathy for themselves. And usually we have our disagreement when I'm having conversation with other Congolese that are, in my area. When we get together, we talk about these issues, right? And I always ask them simple questions. I'm like, bro, if you were making what you make now in America, in Congo, would you have left? The answer is always no. Okay, good. So, do you think it's possible that you can create something that will bring you money just as much as you get here or even more? They go, yes. Okay. Do you acknowledge that there are some other Congolese or even Africans that live in Africa who, live much better life than a lot of us here in the West? Yes? They go, yes. I said, well, you answered all of my questions. So what is stopping you then? Nothing. Those are the type of people you need to stay away from. They don't have vision. They don't even know what they're doing here. The moment I realized what I was doing here in America, that's exactly when I decided that at all costs, I would work my butt off to accomplish my dream in Congo. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I don't care what anyone else is saying. I don't care about that. You know, I was watching a video by Wodemaya a couple of days ago in Uganda. He had met this farmer. It's like this lady. The name of the channel is called Value Farm. I watch their videos. I enjoy their content. It's amazing. A great YouTube channel. This young lady, she has a business partner that is an African American from the United States, originally from New York. They farm together. So somehow they're connected, and they have a really successful farm in Uganda, in a small village, right? This gentleman has a bachelor's degree in business. He had a job, a full-time job working at a bank in the United States of America. But in his own testimony through the YouTube videos that I watch, he makes a hell of a lot more money farming in Uganda than he made when he worked at a bank here in the United States. Guys, when I tell you there are enormous amount of money to be made, farming in Congo, believe me, I'm not bullshitting you. Excuse my French, but I'm 100% real with y'all. I'm no joke. Jokes aside, I'm being honest with you guys. Just think about it. A born African American who found happiness outside of America, and more specifically in Africa. Doing what? Farming. And if you listen to the story, they're just getting started. What they're making, they're very happy with it. But they're continuing to expand. They're continuing to grow. That's why, if you guys remember in one of my videos, once you get to a certain point in your farming journey where the multiplication started to become more noticeable, gosh, you'll be surprised how quickly you can go from 1 to 10. That's how fast this happened. I think I've shared with you that I raised chicken growing up, like in my father's backyard. Because in my father's home, house back home, it was huge, right? So my dad had a guy come out, built a shed for me. It was like a regular shed that could accommodate probably 10 or maybe 20 chickens. I started with, I believe it was like 2, maybe 3 chickens. In a short, excuse me guys, in a short period of time, I had way more chickens running around the house that I could control, or I could handle. My dad then got the guy back and had him build a much bigger structure. I built a structure, and guess what I did? I, removed certain chickens into the other, the new structures that had already been built, that my dad had somebody build for me. The eggs, the chickens, the growth went way out of control. There are even certain chickens that got stolen that I didn't even notice. They got stolen because it was a lot of them. That's how many of them that I had. And as young as I was, I didn't see that as a business opportunity. I was more excited about consuming eggs for breakfast. And every now and then they will butcher one chicken and we will eat at home. Like we had chicken whenever we wanted to. Like I was raising them at home. And plus, as a child growing up at my parents' house and I didn't have no bills to pay, like I started, like I built a type of connection between me and the chickens that I was raising back then. Like every time I was at school, right? My mind was already tied back to my house, back to the house and thinking about the chicken whenever I was at school. So I couldn't wait to get out of school to go home to the chickens. As funny as this mouth sounds, but yeah, that's how I felt most of the time. And I'll come home. As soon as I walked in and I saw the chickens, oh, I was happy. Like at sunset, you can see the chicken coming back to their home. Like they get fed multiple times throughout the day. The water is there, and it was a great experience. Fast forward, now I'm here in the United States of America, and I see what's happening around the world now and everything taking place. And back then, I was able to walk around with 40 bucks, sometimes 50 bucks a week as like a 14-year-old growing up at his parents' house. And all my friends used to ask me, like, how do you always come up with this money? And I tell them, I sell chickens, dude. Like, I had chickens in my house. That people come in my place and my mom sell chickens to them because they show interest. You know what I mean? So now, tell me, even in today's life, if someone in Congo is able to bring in 50 bucks a week, like an average individual, that's good money to them. Not everybody in Kinshasa is able to bring home 50 bucks every week working a regular job. You're not going to get that. Even nowadays. But back then, I already had it. So now, I'm an adult. I got a job. Hell, I even own a farm now in Kinshasa. I just complete the pig barn project that I launched, early 2022. I got pigs in there. I'm flying to Kinshasa in less than 2 weeks from now. I got I got people that I'm talking to about multiple projects that I got going on. Again, I'm not going to spoil any of it, but you guys will have to see it when I'm there. So that will also give you something to look out for when I go to Kinshasa. But like, there's a lot of things and a lot of good things, guys. I promise there's a lot of good things. Well, I'm asking you to just keep those alerts turned on. There's a lot of good things happening. So now, it's not only going to be me growing chickens at a small scale like I did growing up at my parents' house. And keep in mind, these chickens, they used to bring me like 40, even 50 bucks every week. Back then, those were like local chickens. Those weren't like these different breeds that are commercialized these days. Because that's what I'm going to be having I'll have on my farm. I'll have a variety of different chickens. Like I'll make sure I have local chickens as well as, other, kinds that come from, different parts of the world, right? I'll have all of them there. But I'm telling you, just do it. Like I always say, I don't care what you do. I really don't care. As long as you take your money back in Africa, that brings joy into my heart. Every single time somebody reaches out to me through my YouTube channel, asking me questions and asking me how to acquire land, I give out information quickly. Guys, I don't ask people for no money. I know a lot of people out there, a lot of YouTube channel, they will ask you for money if they're trying to help you. Not me, man. Not me. Again, if somebody, out of their, the kindness, they want to, send me something or give me something, I won't turn it down. I won't. You know what I mean? Like I'll take it. Because it will be rude on my behalf that somebody's trying to do something good because you have helped them. It won't just look good to just turn it down. I'll make sure I'll take it. But I'm more than glad to help as many people as I possibly can because I want all of us to be in this together. I want more of us in that same area. I want more of us to get involved. That's what my goal is. Not only to have to see this YouTube channel grow, but I also want to see a lot of Congolese owning lands. There was a quote by an elite, I can't recall their name. The greatest commodity you could possibly own in today's world is land because it's finite and God is not making any more of it. I love that quote and I love that. That saying, it's big. And he's right. The world is created. God already created the world. He's not making another one. This is what we have. No matter how much planet Earth measures, I don't know how many millions of lands that we have, or billions or trillions or whatever, that's what we have. So now think, the availability of lands that we have here, it's for us, not the aliens. They're not going to come from outside of planet Earth to purchase. It's made for us, and God is not going to make more of these. That's why we need to own it. We need to control it. All right? Don't wait for somebody else to tell you what to do. Go in there, do it. Get it done. I know you have the potential to do it. You can do it. You're just choosing not to. And I hope when I go, the things that I will do, it will bring you in, more motivation to do the things that I've always wanted you guys to do. Our personal involvement into, doing businesses in Africa, it's going to come a long way. We all need to get involved. Please give me hit the like button. I got more people watching now. Plus, hit the like button, and I would really appreciate it. There's way more, likes than the number of people in the chat. Just show me some love. Hit the like button, and I would really appreciate it. So, guys, it is our duty, man. I don't know. I try to communicate this in many different ways. All right, I try to communicate this with you in many different ways, and I see a lot of people are doing the right thing, but it's still not enough. It should be more than what we have. It should be more than that. I have people who own lands. Now I know that those, I don't know them directly, but I know them through someone that I work with. That's in Congo. There are families who own massive amount of lands that's always on sale, but there's lack of buyers. People aren't buying. Some people, they will buy, but then they just don't do anything with it, and that's fine. And I also say this, that listen, if you don't have the money to build right away, it's okay. All right, the biggest mistake a lot of people make is they want to wait till they have the money to do everything at once. No. That's not how it works. Especially when you're just starting this in Africa. That's like the Western mentality. You go in there, you want to buy a house? Yes. How much the house costs? $350,000 US. You want it built, or you just want a house that's already built? No, I wanna hire a construction company to build a house for me, and I want it to look like this. You show them what you want your house to look, and they design it for you. Boom, they give you, okay, it's gonna cost you $350,000 US. You go to the bank pays for it, they build it. Boom, it's a done deal. You make the payment for the next 30 years. That's end of story. Nope, that's not how it works in Africa. In Africa, either you have it or you don't. So the best way to go about it, and that's how most people have been successful, is that you purchase, right? You come back. You work more, you save up more. When you have enough for the foundation, if you want, you go down there, you take care of it, you come back. You work again, you elevate, you pave, you put the roof up. Before you know it, the structure is over. You can start using it to make you money while you're working on other projects. So like me, yes, it's 100% the expenses that went through my farm. 100%. It came from me. 100%. But it's not always gonna be like that. Now the pigs are growing. When I go there, I will go visit different farms because I have friends that I grew up with who are also involved into agriculture. They have places that they told me they have pigs, like they have the breeds that I'm looking for. And I'm gonna go visit those farms and make sure to stick around because I'm gonna be sharing those videos with you guys too. I'm gonna be purchasing more than I already have. And actually, speaking of pigs, I have some bad news, some stories that we're gonna share. I don't really consider it as bad news, but it's like a learning experience. But it's a video that I will do when I go in Congo Kinshasa. In case I forget, you guys remind me. I will make sure that I, tell you guys a story about the pig. But that's something that's already in the past. But like we're at a much better place right now. Pig Creole. Yeah, we'll see what that is. So, yeah. And I'm gonna get a lot of things too. We go there, we visit different farms. And I'm gonna make sure that I speak with these people and learn about the origins and different places where these particular breeds managed to make it to Congo. And I'm looking forward to that happens. And keep in mind, every little things you do in farming in Congo Kinshasa has great benefits and rewards to it. A lot. People have land, but they do not have the money to build it. Like me building that pig barn, again, I'm spending 100% of the money that, I just spent money coming from my own pockets. So now that I have pigs, they're going to continue to multiply. It will get to a point where I will feel more comfortable to sell. And I'm going to move on to the chicken house to start the poultry farming. I'll probably still have to spend my own money, but as the pig barn evolve, it will reach a level where I won't have to spend 100% of my own income anymore. And when I reach that level where I don't need to spend my own salary from my income coming from my job, that is a sign that I'm ready to rely on that income as a source of income. And by that time, guys, don't expect me to stay here in America. Just don't expect me, because I'll be long gone before you know it. But this channel, it's only going to serve that purpose. You'll see my journey, and I can already see the airplane taking off. And one day I will make it there with your help, with your encouragement, with your engagement and your support. That's going to make it possible, because that's a dream of mine. Congo has a lot of potential. Make no mistake, man. Okay, guys, it's 5:15, so it's been over an hour since I started streaming, and I'm gonna call it a day. And thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thanks again for being here. This is always a pleasure having this kinds of conversation with you guys. So I'll have another video that I'm editing. All right, my original plan was to release it tomorrow around between the hours of 4 to 6 p.m. So in the event you don't see it released tomorrow, chances are you'll probably see it sometime next week. But I'm determined to have it released by tomorrow. So keep an eye out on that because I've already got it edited. I got a couple more things that I got to touch here and there. And once that gets taken care of and I review it, I will share that with you guys. And moving forward until my trip, I will still have videos here and there, but I can't really make too many promises in regards to that just because I'm in the middle of preparing a trip to Kinshasa. You know, I got a lot of things to purchase. I got a lot of errands to run. I got so many things going on at once right now. So I don't really know what to expect at this point, but you know how stressful it can get sometimes when you're planning a trip, when you're flying to Africa. Anything can happen, but I'll make sure that I document everything possible for you guys to see and get that motivation pumping again. All right, so that's gonna do it for today's live stream, and thanks again for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Have a wonderful weekend. Stay strong, stay safe and healthy. Peace.